PUMA Future Z 1.3, and it's more or less everything the first boot should have been. In other words, it's pretty good. And today I'll tell you what works, but also what doesn't, to help you decide if you should grab a pair for yourself or not. I'm JayMike, and this is my review of the Future Z 1.3. The new Future isn't exactly a revolution and continues with the same elements as the first two generations had. That means a soft mesh forefoot and an updated version of the Fusion Fit technology in the midfoot for a locked-in, adaptive fit. And just like the first Future Z, the fit is just really comfortable out of the box. And that is mainly because of this super ridiculously soft mesh toe box here that you have, which almost feels like as if someone has done all the hard work for you and broken it in, softened it up over a couple of weeks. And because there's also a little bit of foam on the inside, you get that nice padded sensation as the upper immediately just starts to take the shape of your foot and wrap nicely around it, and it is wildly comfortable. But then we move up to the midfoot and the heel, which is where the big showstopper for the Future is. The technology that PUMA call Fusion Fit. Basically, it consists of these orange high-tech compression Sorona yarns that go in and add some structure and stability and lockdown to the upper. But because the Sorona yarns are woven into the Evo knit sock itself, you also get this sock-like and very adaptive fit on top of all of that jazz as well. But as adaptive as it may be, you feel the Sorona yarns getting to work from the moment you put the boot on, because the midfoot is just tighter than most other boots out there. Now, don't get me wrong, the Evo knit itself is super soft, has this almost firm stretch to it, and feels very premium when you put it on foot. Probably the best knit material that I can think of on any boot right now. But with that said, the Sorona yarns here go in and just offer this tighter feeling, more secured midfoot. However, it's more of a reassuring tightness rather than an uncomfortable, I'm gonna squeeze the life out of your foot tightness that would be really uncomfortable. For my foot at least. Now, the Future is decently wide, but if you have like a mega boat-sized foot, maybe check the Fusion Fit isn't too tight before you go and play a match with it. Because it's adaptive, but there's a limit to the stretch. And sure, you might need to get used to the feeling of Fusion Fit before you really start enjoying it, but I actually reckon that it works, especially compared to the first model of the Future, where the midfoot band felt a little too concentrated in the compression around the midfoot, whereas in the new generation, it feels a bit more evenly spread out, but where you still get the lockdown and the compression where you want it, and then you have a completely free feeling forefoot to do whatever you want. I'm impressed with the fit. It's actually really good. So, fit and comfort is, in my book, by far the strongest point of the boot. But lockdown is it's pretty good too. In fact, for me, it's so good that you can actually take the laces out and still get the boot to perform. Obviously, I still like them more with laces because they feel more responsive and they just feel more secure, really. But the fact that you can do it without it being the stupidest idea in the world is nice. I mean, now you have the choice, right? As for the fit itself, the boot runs still probably a quarter of a size long and have a little bit of extra room on the outside of the toe box. But because of the tightness in the midfoot from the Fusion Fit, I personally wouldn't want to go down half a size to try and compensate for that extra length. So I recommend that you do like me, go true to size, and you're probably still gonna like it a lot. So it's a joy to wear, but what about the touch? Well, here the Future Z 1.3 is, I would say, nice and honest and pretty straightforward, to be honest. You've got this relatively thin upper with a bit of foam inside, meaning that you get this sharp-ish touch with a little bit of softness and elegance to it as well. Then you have the texture on the outside for when you dribble, which is nice. And also you have this sticky finish on the coating, which means that it doesn't feel like the ball is slipping away from the upper that easily. So it's by no means a big revolution, but it does what it's supposed to, and I'm cool with that. The outsole is the same as before, meaning a nice, stiff and stable midfoot and a set of studs with nice rotational maneuverability that also grip pretty aggressively thanks to the flatter surface on the inside.
It's good. It feels like it works with your foot rather than against it, and that's all I'm asking.
So the future of the future, pun intended, is generally looking bright. But there are also a couple of annoying things that you need to know about.
First up is that extra length in the toe box, which is not only really confusing for sizing, but also makes the boot feel a little less connected to my foot than I would like it to. And because the shape of the toe box is a little bit wide and square-ish, I have a bit of dead space on the outside that I could definitely have lived without. Oh, and there's the tightness. I mean, it wasn't a problem for me, but it just might not be for everyone, and there's no real way of knowing until you tried playing it. And my final issue is with the outsole, which Puma call FG-AG. Don't get fooled by that, because this is, by all accounts, an FG outsole, so it is a little bit mislabeled. And sure, you won't lose your warranty if you use these on an artificial pitch like I'm gonna, because all the grass pitches are super muddy at the moment. But these on AG are no safer than any other FG boot out there. So if you really want to take care of your knees, look after them, go for the MG version instead. And then Puma, just call it what it is. It's an FG boot.
However, as a package, the Future Z 1.3 is just more complete than its predecessor and one of those boots that's really hard to hate.
Don't be fooled by the fact that this might not be as specifically categorized or labeled as, let's say, a speed boot is, because it's a great, comfortable all-rounder that just delivers. And for 200 euros, this is still 200 euros, it definitely gets my seal of approval. The Future Z 1.3 is a real one, and if you want it, I understand, you can buy it via the link to unisports.com right over there. But before you go and do that, make sure you subscribe to the channel with the notifications on, and then remember to tell me what you think of the boot in the comment section right down below as well. And finally, if you want to improve as a footballer, spend some time with the playlist right down there, because it's awesome. And with those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio.